Hello and welcome. Today we're exploring a simple, undervalued, yet remarkably powerful seed. While this might seem somewhat cliché, for those of us beyond 60 or planning to live well past that milestone, this conversation is absolutely essential. When you reach advanced age, your nutritional decisions become increasingly vital for preserving metabolic wellness, maintaining bone strength, and retaining muscle mass. Small hinges swing large doors. Chia seeds may look like insignificant, flavorless, tiny black or white specks, yet this is often the nature of longevity solutions. When properly utilized, even the most unassuming tools can deliver extraordinary results. Chia seeds deserve greater recognition than they typically receive, particularly for those approaching or beyond our 60th year, when every fraction of strength, mobility, and resilience counts. Let's examine the macronutrients first. Chia seeds consist primarily of fiber, containing over 80% non-digestible carbohydrates. This makes them essentially carbohydrate-free for most individuals and decidedly low glycemic. If you're working to preserve insulin sensitivity or boost metabolic wellness, this is already advantageous. Aging increases the likelihood of insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic syndrome. However, this is merely the beginning. Please share your perspective today. Before we proceed, feel free to pose any questions and comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications to catch all of Senior Health's premier health guidance. I need to know if you're following along. If you're currently viewing this and the content speaks to you, comment with the number 1. Otherwise, comment with 0. Chia's remarkably high calcium concentration stands out as one of its most appealing characteristics, with approximately 179 milligrams per 28-gram serving, roughly 2 tablespoons. Chia surpasses dairy milk in calcium content by weight. When you consider that a quarter cup of milk contains about 80 milligrams, you begin to appreciate the density we're discussing. However, quantity alone isn't everything. The supporting factors matter. Magnesium and phosphorus, essential for bone tissue reconstruction and mineralization, are also supplied by chia. This becomes critical for anyone over 60, as bone loss accelerates with age, especially in postmenopausal women. Both osteoporosis and osteopenia remain silent conditions until they progress, typically following a fall. For many individuals, a hip fracture represents more than just a break. It marks the start of lost independence, reduced mobility strongly associated with increased mortality risk in the subsequent year. Joint discomfort occurs more frequently than bone loss, and arrives without warning. Therefore, it's valuable to capitalize on every opportunity to preserve bone mineral density, particularly through nutritional approaches that support mineral adequacy. Chia's fat composition presents another critical element: alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, a specific omega-3 fatty acid type. While plant-derived, it differs from EPA and DHA found in fish oil, which have stronger research support for reducing inflammation, supporting cardiovascular wellness, and maintaining brain function. Nevertheless, ALA possesses value. Despite ALA's relatively poor conversion to EPA, typically under 5%, it maintains independent anti-inflammatory properties, particularly when balanced with foods rich in omega-6 polyunsaturated fats. This nuance is significant. Chia can serve as partial protection against insufficient fatty fish consumption if you don't eat it 2 to 3 times weekly or take quality fish oil supplements. However, it shouldn't be your only strategy if you're serious about optimizing your omega-3 index. Chia contributes but doesn't substitute. I believe chia's true metabolic power lies in its fiber matrix and its impact on glycemic response and satiety. The soluble fiber and mucilage in chia seeds cause them to expand into a gel-like mass when mixed with liquids. When consumed with or before carbohydrate-rich meals, it slows gastric emptying and can reduce post-meal glucose spikes. This delayed digestion effect proves extremely beneficial for those seeking to maintain insulin sensitivity, reduce hunger without calorie counting, or improve gut health. This extends beyond theory. Multiple small randomized controlled trials examining chia supplementation have found modest improvements in HDL cholesterol, slight reductions in inflammatory markers like CRP, and minor decreases in post-meal glucose and insulin responses. None of these effects are revolutionary individually. While they don't replace exercise or high-protein diets, they form part of a larger equation where small levers, used consistently, can shift the system favorably. Regarding systems, the gut microbiome represents one area where chia may provide indirect benefits. We now recognize that gut flora diversity and balance are influenced by dietary fiber, affecting immune regulation, systemic inflammation, and even cognitive function in the colon. Chia's fiber, especially its soluble component, ferments gradually and acts as a prebiotic, feeding beneficial bacteria. While data specific to chia is still emerging, the mechanical plausibility is strong. Since protein remains a primary concern for anyone over 60, let me briefly shift focus. Although chia seeds contain 4 to 5 grams of protein per ounce, their amino acid profile is incomplete. They won't replace your whey, chicken, or isolate supplements. However, chia can contribute for plant-based individuals or those seeking to distribute amino acids throughout the day. It contains respectable amounts of glutamine and arginine, important for gut repair and nitric oxide synthesis, respectively. Then there's practicality. I frequently discuss friction, how minor inconveniences can derail health behavior plans. Chia seeds require no preparation, create no mess, and need no cooking. A tablespoon can be added to Greek yogurt, mixed into morning smoothies, or transformed into high-fiber chia pudding with almond milk and cinnamon. Such convenience matters because adherence ultimately trumps optimization. A 90% solution you use daily beats a perfectly optimized diet you can't maintain. One practical tip I often share with patients: ensure adequate water intake. Don't expect full benefits from adding dry seeds to salads. Soaking seeds for 20 to 30 minutes allows optimal mucilage formation. This gel structure supports digestion, blood sugar control, and satiety. Target 1 to 2 tablespoons daily. Consuming more may cause digestive issues, especially if you currently consume minimal fiber. Are chia seeds a miracle food? No, but within the context of aging physiology where insulin sensitivity declines, inflammation increases, and appetite regulation becomes challenging while calcium needs rise, they represent a low-risk, low-cost intervention supporting multiple critical systems we're trying to protect. Longevity often involves stacking marginal gains to prevent decline, preserve function, and maintain our range of choices as we age. This is why I view chia seeds as valuable components of an intentional, performance-based nutritional strategy rather than trends or gimmicks. It's not just about living longer, it's about extending the years we remain strong, sharp, and independent. Chia seeds help tip the scales, 1 tablespoon at a time. We must address muscle if we're serious about aging well functionally, not just chronologically. Muscle moves your skeleton, but muscle represents much more. It's a metabolic organ that regulates insulin sensitivity and supports posture, balance, and temperature regulation. It's one of the hidden factors that supports muscle and protects you from the gradual decline toward dependency and frailty. Pumpkin seeds, a food as common as it is potent, are frequently overlooked. At first glance, pumpkin seeds seem too basic to warrant discussion. They're small snacking seeds. Deeper investigation, however, reveals a nutritional profile specifically designed to address some of the most significant physiological vulnerabilities we face after 60. These seeds, also called pepitas, are loaded with protein, minerals, and physiologically active compounds that support bone health, muscle function, and immune systems, as well as sleep, all crucial as we age. Let's begin with magnesium, an often overlooked mineral essential for muscle and metabolic function. Magnesium deficiency is widespread among adults, particularly older adults. Some estimates suggest over half of adults past 60 consume less than the daily recommended amount. This is problematic because magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic processes in the body. Its roles in muscle contraction, glucose transport, and ATP production are particularly relevant to today's discussion. Magnesium deficiency impairs mitochondrial efficiency. Since mitochondria are the powerhouses within cells, especially muscle cells, this results in reduced output, slower recovery, and increased fatigue. Low magnesium also makes cells less responsive to insulin, increasing insulin resistance. For an aging population where type 2 diabetes poses a serious threat, anything that can shift the metabolic needle towards sensitivity deserves consideration. Pumpkin seeds rank among the best magnesium-dense whole foods, providing about 150 to 170 milligrams of magnesium per ounce. A single ounce can supply 30 to 50% of the recommended daily intake, 420 milligrams for men over 50, and 320 milligrams for women. That's a powerful dose with minimal dietary friction. Magnesium is also essential for neuromuscular function, the proper firing of muscles by neurons. Age brings a natural decline in motor neurons. This exacerbates sarcopenia, a loss of muscle strength not always linked to mass loss. Maintaining optimal magnesium levels may support better coordination and faster reflexes by preserving the nerve-muscle connection. Resistance training, a non-negotiable component of any longevity plan, would enhance muscle output for most people. The next abundant mineral in pumpkin seeds is zinc, about 2.2 milligrams or 20% of the recommended daily dose in 1 ounce. While zinc is often marketed as an immune booster, it serves additional purposes. It's a cofactor in testosterone synthesis and other anabolic hormones. Although most testosterone discussions focus on men, they also affect women, particularly post-menopausal women experiencing sharp declines in sex hormone levels that can impact libido, muscle mass, and bone density. Zinc also influences wound healing, inflammation control, and cellular replication, critical systems that gradually but significantly deteriorate with age. It's one of those minerals affecting multiple areas simultaneously, where even minor deficiency can negatively impact immune function, injury recovery, and frailty. Moving to iron, a mineral whose deficiency leads to reduced oxygen-carrying capacity in blood, resulting in fatigue, decreased stamina, and even cognitive sluggishness. Pumpkin seeds contain 2 to 3 milligrams of iron per ounce, depending on variety. While plant-based iron isn't as bioavailable as animal-derived iron, absorption improves significantly when combined with vitamin C sources like peppers or lemon juice in meals. Why is iron important? Because oxygen transport underlies everything from brain function to muscle contraction. If cells can't efficiently receive oxygen, your entire system slows down. This becomes especially important if you've reduced red meat consumption later in life for health concerns, lifestyle changes, decreased appetite, or other factors. This brings us to protein, a macronutrient essential for anyone wanting to maintain muscle mass and potentially even more crucial after 60. Pumpkin seeds contain about 7 grams of protein per ounce, more than an egg. They contain significant amounts of leucine, the essential amino acid that triggers muscle protein synthesis through the mTOR pathway. The issue is that the amino acid profile isn't as complete as animal proteins. Anabolic resistance describes the phenomenon where older adults become less responsive to anabolic signaling. While a younger person might need only 20 grams to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, an older adult may require 30 grams or more with higher leucine content. Pumpkin seeds can make a significant contribution as part of a distributed protein strategy throughout the day, but they can't accomplish this alone. An ounce, for instance, provides protein alongside a powerful mineral payload. Another overlooked benefit of pumpkin seeds is tryptophan, linked to recovery and sleep. Tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin, which is a precursor to melatonin, the hormone regulating sleep-wake cycles. With over 500 milligrams per ounce, pumpkin seeds rank among the best plant-based tryptophan sources. This matters because sleep fragmentation increases with age, and poor sleep affects hormone production, glucose regulation, tissue repair, and cognition. Consuming tryptophan-rich foods in the evening, especially when combined with carbohydrates, may promote deeper sleep and more robust melatonin production. Sleep also supports muscle maintenance. Hormone pulses occur during deep sleep, especially during the night's first cycle. Without that slow-wave sleep, your body's regenerative capacity is compromised. Pumpkin seeds therefore provide some of the substrate needed for the body to produce its own sleep aid, even if they're not sleep aids themselves. The anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties of pumpkin seeds are particularly noteworthy. These include various polyphenols, tocopherols, vitamin E compounds, and plant sterols that may help reduce oxidative stress, especially in high inflammation states like obesity, sedentary lifestyles, or chronic diseases. While human evidence remains preliminary, these compounds have been studied for their effects on insulin signaling, prostate health, and LDL oxidation. Practically,
Pumpkin seeds are highly versatile. They're shelf-stable, don't require refrigeration, and don't spike blood sugar. You can eat them by the handful, or incorporate them into salads, smoothies, or cereals. They can be ground into paste, like pumpkin seed butter, blended into protein bars, or added to trail mix. The nutrient density, in a small volume, is a huge advantage for older adults who may have reduced appetite or difficulty consuming large meals. But it's important to understand the context. Pumpkin seeds shouldn't replace high-quality protein sources. They don't substitute for strength training or adequate sleep. They're adding low friction, high leverage to a diet supporting bone integrity, muscle quality, and metabolic function, resilience, particularly as the organism ages and loses its capacity for forgiveness. When we zoom out, the entire framework becomes visible. Longevity isn't about hacks and miracle foods. It's about optimizing your system and providing your body with the signals, macronutrients and micronutrients it needs to thrive when those needs become more challenging. Pumpkin seeds are one of the silent tools in the toolbox. They help maintain the body's structural integrity over time, but you don't notice their absence until things begin to fail, physiologically, not just metaphorically. Every dietary contribution matters for building a functional life after 60. Being able to lift your grandchild, carry groceries and climb stairs without fear. Pumpkin seeds contain a variety of nutrients supporting brain, blood, muscle, bone and mitochondria, but they lack the marketing flash of collagen peptides or the excitement of MCT oil. The return on investment is hard to ignore. It's easy to focus on obvious nutritional interventions supporting aging with strength, clarity, and metabolic resilience, protein, resistance training, fish-derived omega-3s, creatine, and vitamin D. However, occasionally, a food comes along that appears modest but interacts subtly yet significantly with multiple aging-related pathways. Flax seeds are one such food. Flax seeds appear quite small beneath their humble exterior. These tiny, hard, nearly flavorless seeds, usually relegated to diet culture's periphery, are among the most nutrient-packed seeds available, especially considering the aging body. Flax seeds' primary importance lies in their fiber matrix, omega-3 fatty acid profile, and unique phytoestrogenic compounds called lignans, rather than in a single superfood ingredient. It's important to examine each of these in terms of their contribution to the greater longevity and health mechanism, rather than in isolation. Let's discuss fiber first. The digestive system changes after 60. The microbiota becomes less diverse, motility slows, gastric emptying becomes less efficient, and there's a markedly increased risk of insulin resistance, particularly post-meal. Dietary fiber, especially soluble and fermentable fiber, is one of the best non-pharmaceutical strategies we have to address both problems simultaneously. About 27% of flaxseed weight consists of fiber, much of which is soluble in the intestines. This fiber type combines with water to form a thick gel-like substance. This matters because as appetite signaling becomes dysregulated with age, this gel helps manage body composition and metabolic health by slowing gastric emptying, flattening post-meal glucose and insulin curves, and enhancing satiety. Several small RCTs have shown that flaxseed consumption can indeed lower fasting blood glucose and HbA1c levels in people with type 2 diabetes, while improving lipid profiles. The prebiotic aspect is another benefit. Soluble fibers in flax seeds feed bacteria, especially those producing butyrate and other short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs. These SCFAs preserve intestinal barrier integrity and reduce systemic inflammation while potentially affecting gene expression through epigenetic signaling. It's not just theoretical. Increasing research connects gut-derived inflammation to sarcopenia, neurodegeneration, and even cardiovascular events in older adults. If we can modify the gut microbiota through diet and reduce low-grade chronic inflammation, or inflammaging, many age-related diseases may be slowed or prevented. It's not just the gut, either. Flax seeds contain alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, an omega-3 fatty acid in significantly higher quantities than their weight suggests, about 1.66 to 1.8 grams of ALA per teaspoon of ground flaxseed, similar to the omega-3 in many fish oil capsules but in a different form. The ALA to EPA and DHA conversion rate is currently low. It's typically reported as less than 1% for DHA and 5 to 10% for EPA. However, this doesn't mean ALA is worthless. Indeed, even unconverted, ALA has been shown to support vascular function, alter cell membrane composition, and have independent anti-inflammatory actions. Higher dietary ALA intake has been linked to lower risk of myocardial infarction and sudden cardiac death in cardiovascular literature. For people who don't regularly eat fatty fish or don't eat fish at all, flaxseed becomes an essential omega-3 source. However, it shouldn't be the primary source if optimizing DHA is the goal, as it should be for retinal and cognitive function. Here's where flaxseed has unique value, particularly for lignans in older adults and postmenopausal women. Flaxseed is the highest dietary source of lignans, which are phytoestrogens structurally similar to endogenous estrogens, but with selective modulatory actions. While they interact limitedly with estrogen receptors, this chemical family seems to work more as a modulator than a mimic. For postmenopausal women experiencing significant estrogen decline, which can affect bone density, lipid metabolism, and cognitive function, lignans are plant-derived compounds that may provide partial compensation without the risks associated with synthetic hormone replacement. Numerous studies with varying but generally positive outcomes have investigated flaxseed lignans' effects on hot flashes, lipid profiles, and breast cancer biomarkers. Regarding lipid regulation, flaxseed has been shown to dramatically reduce LDL cholesterol, likely through lignin and fiber mechanisms. One meta-analysis of 28 trials found that consuming flaxseed reduced LDL in hyperlipidemic individuals by an average of 10 millimoles per liter, a clinically significant effect. But estrogenic signaling isn't the only factor. Lignans also have anti-proliferative and antioxidant properties. In vitro research suggests they may support DNA repair processes, inhibit tumor cell growth, and reduce oxidative stress and inflammation markers. Even though these effects haven't been fully confirmed in humans, flaxseed represents a low-risk, high-upside intervention due to its plausible mechanisms and attractive safety profile. One of the more intriguing research areas is flaxseed's effect on blood pressure. In a 2013 RCT published in Hypertension, researchers gave hypertensive patients 30 grams of ground flaxseed daily and monitored them for 6 months. The results were remarkable, comparable to first-line antihypertensive medications. Systolic blood pressure decreased by 10 millimeters of mercury, and diastolic blood pressure decreased by 7 millimeters of mercury. Despite the study's limitations and need for replication, the implications are strong. Any natural intervention that reduces blood pressure without adverse effects is worth considering for older adults managing multiple chronic conditions. Of course, no food is without caveats. The form in which flaxseed is consumed matters. Whole flax seeds often pass through the digestive system undigested, making their nutrients generally inaccessible. To absorb the ALA fiber and lignans, you must use the ground form. However, ground flaxseed is susceptible to oxidation due to its high PUFA content. Therefore, it should be ground fresh when possible, stored in airtight containers, and consumed within a few weeks. Dosage is another consideration. Most positive research uses about 30 grams, or 2 to 3 tablespoons of ground flaxseed daily. This amount provides a complete range of lignans, approximately 8 grams of fiber, 6 grams of protein, and 6 grams of ALA. For beginners, it's advisable to start with a lower dose and increase gradually while drinking adequate water to prevent gastrointestinal distress. Practically, flaxseed is highly versatile. It can be added to baked goods, yogurt, smoothies, and oatmeal. It can substitute for eggs in vegan cooking or thicken sauces. Its mild flavor makes adherence easy, an important but often overlooked aspect of any intervention designed to support long-term compliance. I often remind patients that system redundancy is key to aging well. You want overlapping systems supporting cognitive function, vascular compliance, glucose management, muscle mass, and bone health. Flaxseed meets multiple metabolic, cardiovascular, hormonal, and microbiological needs. While not a panacea, it's a useful ally, especially when combined with other fundamental practices like glucose management, protein optimization, strength training, and adequate sleep. In summary, flaxseed is a well-established example of a low-cost, low-risk, nutrient-dense intervention supporting aging physiology in multiple areas. It provides both soluble and insoluble fiber for glucose control and intestinal health. It supplies plant-derived omega-3 fatty acids supporting vascular health and inflammation reduction. It provides lignans that may help with hormone regulation and cancer risk reduction. It supplies essential micronutrients like manganese, magnesium, and selenium for maintaining cellular integrity and metabolism. It's not flashy, it's not trendy, but it works methodically, gradually, and quietly. It's exactly the type of intervention that deserves consideration when thinking about lifespan. Sesame seeds are often overlooked. Despite being ubiquitous, they're rarely the center of attention. They're frequently used more for texture than purpose, as aesthetic additions rather than for biological value. Whether blended into tahini, sprinkled on burger buns, or embedded in crackers, sesame seeds begin to tell a different story when examined from cellular optimization and aging physiology perspectives. Sesame seeds are fundamentally a nutrient-dense food, but it's not straightforward. What makes them intriguing isn't the protein or calorie content, but the network of bioactive compounds working together harmoniously. These compounds affect bone integrity, lipid metabolism, oxidative stress, hormone signaling, cellular detoxification, and numerous aging-related systems. This multi-system effect is what draws attention when the goal is to enhance not just lifespan, but functional lifespan, the life stage when one remains mobile, mentally sharp, capable of lifting heavy objects and recovering quickly. Let's start with bone loss, one of the most critical issues we face beyond sickness. The risk of osteoporosis gradually increases in older men and dramatically increases in post-menopausal women as testosterone and other anabolic hormones decline with age. As people age, bones become increasingly porous, brittle, and susceptible to fractures, which are major causes of morbidity and mortality. Bone health discussions traditionally focus on calcium and vitamin D, but they're far from the complete picture. Sesame seeds contain calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus in highly bioavailable forms, creating a unique mineral trio supporting skeletal health. Just 1 ounce of sesame seeds provides about 280 milligrams of calcium, or roughly 30% of the recommended daily allowance for women over 50. For people following plant-based or dairy-free diets, sesame becomes one of the most concentrated dietary calcium sources available. However, calcium cannot work alone. It requires magnesium and phosphorus. Magnesium regulates calcium transport and incorporation into bone matrix. Inadequate magnesium leads to poor calcium control, increased vascular calcification, and reduced bone deposition. Conversely, phosphorus combines with calcium to create hydroxyapatite, which serves as bone tissue's structural foundation. Since sesame seeds contain all three in appropriate ratios, they serve as a natural skeletal maintenance system, supporting the rebuilding process that deteriorates with age. Zinc, another mineral often overlooked regarding bone and muscle health, is also present in sesame seeds. Beyond regulating testosterone levels, zinc is necessary for osteoblast activity cells that build bones. Subclinical zinc deficiency, common in older adults, has been associated with impaired muscle protein synthesis and decreased bone mineral density. 1 ounce of sesame seeds contains about 2 milligrams of zinc, providing an easy nutritional boost for a system that becomes more change-resistant with age. Sesame seeds have an unexpected impact on oxidative stress management, another aging process. The body's ability to buffer reactive oxygen species ROS decreases with age. This exacerbates lipid peroxidation, inflammation, mitochondrial dysfunction, and DNA damage. While dietary antioxidants are often overstated, sesame seeds play a significant role and merit further investigation, particularly when they affect the body's defense mechanisms. Sesamin and other lignans found in sesame seeds influence antioxidant enzyme systems like superoxide dismutase and glutathione peroxidase rather than serving only as direct scavengers. Their influence on phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification enzymes, particularly cytochrome P450 enzymes that break down endogenous hormones and xenobiotics, is noteworthy. Beyond their antioxidant capacity, sesame lignans enhance detoxification pathways and strengthen the body's internal defenses against oxidative stress, in addition to neutralizing free radicals. This brings us to lipid metabolism, vascular health, and another aging-related system. Cardiovascular disease remains the leading cause of death among older adults, and cholesterol management remains one of the most effective strategies. Sesame seeds contain both monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, But more importantly, human research has demonstrated that they increase HDL, reduce triglycerides, and lower LDL cholesterol, a rare trifecta. These effects are partly due to phytosterols in sesame, which are structurally similar to cholesterol and compete with it for intestinal absorption to reduce serum levels. However, there are newer, less understood mechanisms in sesame lignans that seem to prevent lipid peroxidation. This means they reduce LDL particle oxidation, a crucial first step in atherogenesis. Oxidized LDL isn't just a biomarker, it actively contributes to vascular inflammation and plaque development. Reducing total LDL is beneficial, reducing oxidized LDL is even better. Sesame compounds seem to accomplish this, especially when combined with vitamin E, another antioxidant component in the seed. Interestingly, sesame seeds also affect hepatic fat metabolism. According to numerous animal studies and limited human trials, sesame can reduce hepatic triglyceride production by downregulating lipogenic enzymes in the liver. This has implications for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NFLD, which is increasing in older populations, even among non-overweight individuals. Beyond cholesterol, managing liver fat is essential for maintaining insulin sensitivity and overall metabolic health.
Regarding insulin, sesame seeds have shown modest anti-hyperglycemic benefits in certain clinical settings. While the precise mechanisms are still being studied, evidence suggests sesame may increase glucose uptake in peripheral tissues and alter adiponectin levels, an adipokine with anti-inflammatory and insulin-sensitizing properties. When used consistently, and combined with other behavioral and dietary interventions like resistance exercise and intermittent fasting, these benefits, while modest individually, become considerable. Sesame seeds' hormonal effects represent another fascinating characteristic, especially for postmenopausal women. Like flax seeds, sesame contains phytoestrogens that interact limitedly with estrogen receptors and behave more like selective estrogen receptor modulators, SERMs, than actual mimetics. A double-blind study published in Nutrition Research found that 50 grams of sesame seed powder daily significantly improved postmenopausal women's lipid profiles, antioxidant status, and serum estrogen levels. While sesame seeds may offer a dietary buffer for age-related hormonal changes, they shouldn't replace hormone replacement therapy. We should also discuss sesame oil, which concentrates many of the same benefits but delivers them in a different matrix. Cold-pressed sesame oil contains sesamin and sesamol, two lignans with hepatoprotective, anti-inflammatory, and neuroprotective properties. Studies have shown that substituting sesame oil for other cooking oils can lower blood pressure, improve vascular flexibility, and enhance cognitive performance. While oil can be a useful addition, it can't replace the whole food because it lacks the fiber, protein, and minerals of the complete seed. Regarding muscle health, sesame seeds provide 5 grams of protein per ounce and high levels of amino acids arginine and methionine, involved in nitric oxide synthesis and methylation respectively. While sesame isn't a complete protein, it combines well with other plant proteins like grains or legumes to fill essential amino acid gaps. When combined strategically, sesame can provide a significant contribution to the daily protein economy for older adults whose goal is preserving muscle mass. It's also worth noting sesame's fat-soluble nutrient composition. It contains abundant vitamin E, particularly gamma-tocopherol, which has unique anti-inflammatory properties compared to alpha-tocopherol. Gamma-tocopherol scavenges reactive nitrogen compounds like peroxynitrite, which are increasingly linked to neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. This vitamin E form is significant since our brains become more susceptible to oxidative stress as we age. Practically, sesame seeds are versatile and reasonably stable. They can be eaten whole or ground into paste like tahini, and added to salads, soups, and stir-fries. While prolonged high-heat cooking should be avoided, toasting enhances flavor without destroying bioactive compounds. In the context of a low-friction intervention, 1.5 to 2 tablespoons daily is sufficient to produce benefits without disrupting caloric balance. Sesame seeds are an easily adoptable, inexpensive, and highly promising product. They don't spike blood sugar, don't require refrigeration, and integrate easily into both savory and sweet dishes. They're widely available and culturally familiar worldwide. What's the lesson then? Sesame seeds aren't very flashy. They won't make wellness headlines or sell supplement bottles, but they provide significant multi-targeted contributions to aging biology. They enhance skeletal integrity, support vascular health, reduce oxidative stress, and modify hepatic and hormonal pathways, all without requiring expensive or behaviorally challenging interventions. Please share your perspective today before we begin. Feel free to ask questions and comment below. Remember to subscribe and activate notifications to catch all of Senior Health Science's premier health guidance. I need to know if you're following along. If you're watching and this content resonates with you, comment with the number 1, otherwise comment with 0. In longevity discussions, we should emphasize this type of nutrition more, because we need more silently operating tools if we want to not only live longer, but also remain capable among those instruments.